All right, so we are done with the prerequisites. This is what's next, and the most complicated part of this is going to be the test materials, but I'll be explaining some of the concepts as we go, but if it doesn't make sense, it's okay. Just follow along, and eventually it'll click. All right, so come down here to the content drawer. Going to come to content, add feature or content pack, and we're going to do starter content, add to project. It's going to download and add it. So that starter content that's where it went. This is the stuff we just downloaded. And this comes with things like different maps we'll look at in just a second, and different assets you can use. But pretty much why we downloaded this was for a few assets that we're going to use, and also this is just a good layout of how projects should be organized. For our project, we're not going to have enough assets to do full-on folders, but most projects will. So this is a good idea of how to organize that. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to content, we're going to go to new folder, emergent, and that's where we're going to put all of our stuff, including our maps. And while we're here, go to, this is just a right click, by the way, right click, level. I'm going to do gent. Okay, there we go. All right, now that we've created our top folder and the map, let's click on the map we just created. And you're going to see it's black. Not to worry, that's the way it's supposed to be. Come down here to content drawer. We're going to go to all and search all for sky sphere. And you're going to see something that says static mesh SM_sky sphere. You're going to take this, you're going to drag it to the emergent folder, and we're going to copy here. You're like, where did this asset come from? That's in the starter content stuff that we downloaded. So, or it's in the engine folder, one of the two. Anyway, so we are now in, so we have a map and we have a sky sphere. Go ahead and drag this sky sphere into here, and you'll see we're looking at something, so there's something in our world now, but notice these numbers here. We want those all to be 0. For most assets, it's good to just keep them at 0, 0, 0. Especially when you're dealing with just setting your stage kind of thing. And next, we're going to put in a plane. And again, we're going to do 0, 0, 0. We're going to hit the F key so that we focus on that. Okay. And we're also going to add a light called a skylight. Just drag that in. Okay. I'm going to put that at 0, 0, 0. And that is good. All right. So we got our lights. Now we need a camera. We're going to go to perspective, this little thingy up here. We're going to do create camera, cine camera actor. It's going to stick a little box here. You'll notice this little pinny thingy. So go ahead and click that. That's just going to keep that camera right there. And we're always going to see from that camera's perspective, no matter where we move. So it's really nice. And that camera is going to be what we see when it's rendered, kind of a thing. So, and now we'll add a sequence. Add level sequence. We're going to stick that right here, and we're going to do gent. Okay, you'll see our sequencer fills up. We won't need that for a hot minute, but there it is. So we have our sky sphere, our sequence, and our map. So before moving on, we're going to hop over to one of the pre-made levels that we downloaded in the starter content pack earlier. We're going to go to maps, and we're going to go to advanced lighting. We're going to save selected, and this object is what we want. This is kind of like a standard, like in orchestra, there's the violinist that all the other violins tune their violins to. That's kind of what this is. It's just the matte finish. It's got neutral colors and various values. This is going to help us nail our lighting. So we're going to go to here, placeholder mesh, and we're going to come down to the details and click this little folder thingamajig. Okay. And now we are going to drag this into, you can do it, drag this into emergent, and we're going to copy it. And now it should be in our, there it is. So now we'll hop back over to our map, save selected, and drag this in. Gonna do, make sure it's at 0, 0, 0, and we're gonna F. And as you can see, like it gives us some basic, I'll drag this up. It gives us some basic like reflections. It's giving us just an idea of where the standard is as far as how bright the lights are currently. and that kind of thing. All right. Okay, we're going to add one more thing here. We're going to add a sphere. And it will become clear why in a moment. So we're just going to up. Okay, cool. Click on that sphere in the background. You're going to see it pull this material. Okay, let's click on the folder. This is that material. What we're going to do is we are going to right click it, create material instance. Okay, we're gonna name this MI Procedural Sky Master. Okay, we're gonna drag this over to Emergent and move it because we're moving a copy. So real quick on material instances, this is what a parent material looks like. It's a node network that's a list of instructions of what to render across the surface of an object. An instance is like, here we'll go over to the instance. It's like a little baby that's just looking to its parent to know what it needs to be, pretty much. So the horizon color and zenith color options you see in here, this baby material can only have those options because its parent material grants it those options. So you'll see zenith color and horizon color. And as long as they are parameters, see if I convert this to a constant to apply that option disappears. So if in a node network inside the material, this is like the DNA, right, of the material, you've got it converted to a parameter, and then that will tell I don't know how to spell zenith, don't laugh at me. So apply that, now it's back. Gonna say that. So I just kind of freaked out Unreal Engine when I changed that parameter. If you ever break something after changing it and it's just acting funny, what you can do is go to Asset Actions, Reload, and it will just click yes to the thing that pops up and it will fix it. All right, so let's go back to our emergent folder. We've got a MI Procedural Sky Master. That's the little baby material that we're going to want to mess with because it has the parameters in a way that are easier for us to use. And so we're going to open that up and we're going to just change those parameters. You'll notice that nothing is really changing. This is a gotcha that gets me still. But the reason why is because what's on this material, this object, is not the material instance, it's the parent material. So we're going to go to this and we're just going to drag it on. Boop. Okay, now we can adjust this and it will work. Something that Unreal does by default is it will adjust the exposure of the camera. For our cases, we want to micromanage our lighting a little bit, so I'm going to show you something. I want you to just take these colors all the way to white, okay? And then come over here to place actors and type in post-process volume. Okay, we're going to drag this in. There's a few ways to do this, but just do it this way. Like, you can come here and you can turn off the exposure gain settings, but don't do it that way because it's a little bit unpredictable as to, you know, what it's going to do when it actually renders and blah, 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 blah. So just do the post-process volume. Type in infinite, and we want this, infinite extent unbound, turn that on. And then we want exposure, metering mode, we want manual. Exposure compensation, we want 0 for now. Alright, so you'll notice we're back to black. In order to fix that, we're going to go to the skylight here. Then we're going to go to a specified cube map for now, just so you can kind of see what's happening. Turn the intensity scale all the way up. And you'll notice that it's kind of dark here in the back. Almost like light is trying to get through. And that's exactly what's happening. It just can't. So go to this sky sphere is blocking it. You'll notice if we turn it off, stuff lights up. So we're going to go to the sky sphere and we're going to just make it bigger so that it can encapsulate that light. And now you'll see we can control the intensity scale. It goes from 0, and the way we have it set up via the post-process volume right now is the skylight, which is usually pretty aggressive if you don't set things up appropriately. The intensity up here will just be way too blown out. And this is right where it's supposed to be, where the most intense light is just almost blown out. It just starts to get blown out, and that's good. That's what we want. Black, almost white. Perfect. But now that we've got this all tested out, we're going to go back to the captured scene. And now it's just going to capture whatever the color is of our sky sphere. So we can go to our little material baby here, our instance, and we can just change that color like we did before. So maybe do a little bit like that. And maybe do that. Click OK. Okay. You'll have to do a recapture, and then it will recapture the skylight. So let's turn up the intensity here, recapture, yeah. And then if we turn this to blue, and then we go here and we recapture, you're gonna see that that color is affected. So let's turn down the intensity scale so you can see that gradient. That gradient that's going from purple or red at the bottom to blue at the top. And that's, so we can kind of, our scene is now behaving in an appropriate and predictable manner. All right, so next, let's turn this back to white for now. White, okay. Then we'll go to our skylight, recapture. All right, we're back to our neutral. Skylights, intensity, as pretty mid. Cool, we're gonna make some glass. So go to content, you gotta see this glass, M glass, okay. Drag that into emergent, copy it, there's our glass. Let's make an instance, create a material instance. We're gonna call this material instance glass. Okay, we're gonna put this right on that sphere. Then we're going to go into the parent material here and change a couple of settings. We're going to, do you see this refraction? Go ahead and drag this right there. We're going to cut out all of the Fresnel stuff for now. Go ahead and apply that. And then click on the M glass output node. Let's see, we're going to turn on, if this is not turned on, make sure that's turned on. Turn on two-sided, surface forward shading. All right, and save that. Yeah, looks pretty good. We can change our refraction here. Sweet. But you'll kind of notice it's not doing a fantastic refraction job. So what we need to do is go over to our post-process volume, and let's drag this here so we can see really well what it's doing. Go to our post-process volume, type in translucency. Translucency method should be ray traced. Cut it out, and then missing. So we want use ray trace refraction. Check that, and then it should look a lot more like it's reflecting glass here. So let's, in the actual glass material instance, we're gonna reduce. I'm gonna do like 1.4, which is its basic, and that should look a lot closer to an actual glass material. So after messing around with the settings for a second, for your glass instance, do a refraction of about 3. And that should reverse the image and also just kind of give it a nice warp. You'll notice that there's a lot of black. That's coming from the skylight. So this lower hemisphere is solid color. Turn that off, and then that blackness will be gone. All right, we've set up our scene. We have glass working via this post-process volume. We have our skylight, which will let us set the ambient level of light in the scene, which is also very important. We have our base plane, which we can actually, that should be set to something very, very large. So that should just kind of stretch onto the horizon there. You may or may not want to use it in the final pass. The actual glass, it doesn't, don't perfect anything right now. We're just making sure that the post-process volume is set up the way that it's supposed to be, because that's going to be handling a lot of our refractions. So we've got our color calibrator, which we're not going to use. We're just making sure that that's good. And we've got our background. So this we can do static mesh background, because technically that's how we're using it for. We're not really using it as a sky sphere. And then this is our refraction test, which is working. And this is our floor. Back into the color calibrator. So yeah, it's doing what it's supposed to. And we are now ready to import our geometry.